Joining us now, EPA Administrator Lee Zeldin. Administrator, it's wonderful to see you again. We appreciate you coming on. What's your take on this shocking amount of waste in the government? Let's show the details, what they're finding, that DOJ is finding, what happened in foreign aid. What are you finding at the EPA? We've reported on the $20 billion you found in Biden's climate funds, slush funds parked at Citibank. What more do we know?
Right. Well, with regards to the $20 billion that were parked towards the end of the Biden administration at this outside bank, they created an arrangement that tied EPA's hands behind its back between the financial aid agent agreement with Treasury, whether it was the account control agreement with the EPA. And all $20 billion were heading to just 8 primary recipients. So these NGOs, in one case, a Stacey Abrams-linked NGO that was brand new, received $100 in 2023, received $2 billion in 2024. Another NGO that had an employee leave to become the director of this greenhouse gas reduction fund ended up throwing $5 billion to their former employer. We're finding a lot of self-dealing, conflicts of interests. We're seeing that people were unprepared to spend these sums of money. And just to give you one specific example of highlighting just how unprepared they were, in reading through the grant agreements, it gives them 90 days to take a training called How to Develop a Budget. If they don't know how to develop a budget yet, why are they getting all this money? It was $20 billion to 8 entities that were all pass-throughs, giving to other entities, many of them pass-throughs as well, and reduced oversight as that money was getting down to the final grantee. I have a problem with all of it, and every time we overturn a new rock, we keep finding more troubling info.
You know, sir, here's the problem that Americans are having. The infrastructure that Biden did build for climate spending and for border spending, was any of that money ending up in campaign donations to keep Democrats in power?
Well, I mean, listen, there were entities that this funding was going to where people who were part of leading that entity were also Democratic donors. That for certain. But what we're seeing to this point is that the money that they secured was part of this message of fighting environmental justice, maybe an argument that some community is left behind. They have an environmental issue that we need to deal with, which is something that you can make an argument in a way that all of us would agree with. But in the name of environmental justice, they want to send tens of millions of dollars to left-wing advocacy groups. For example, I canceled a $50 million grant to the Climate Justice Alliance. Climate Justice Alliance, they say that climate justice goes through Gaza. It goes through a free Palestine. That's not the way Americans want their tax dollars. Working with DOJ, I canceled about 30 grants, totaling $120 million on top of everything else that we discussed.
Wow.
And also, I would add, the media subscriptions have been pretty wild. I canceled over $1 million worth of media subscriptions to less than a handful of outlets. That's also been a big source of waste, too.
Yeah, it's interesting. Now, you are working to cut EPA spending by about 2/3 because you're finding waste. Let's please get your reaction to what Biden's EPA chief, Gina McCarthy, has said. Please watch this.
65% of the budget to be cut. What would that mean practically?
Well, it would mean that the agency would sincerely be handcuffed. The agency itself right now is staffed by very capable people. We don't want to lose that staff. But honestly, this is all about how we protect our health and our safety, how we protect our natural resources.
If you were to speak with Administrator Zeldin, where do you think he should focus those efforts to make things more efficient at the EPA?
So reach out. Sit down with the program staff at EPA. Look at opportunities to downscale where those efforts are not as important as others. I'm not suggesting that EPA is perfect every step of the way. That's what EPA does to save as much money as they can, but to get the job done well and quickly and safely.
Response to what Gina McCarthy said today. She's kind of admitting there are problems.
Right. So basically, we should keep doing what we're doing. EPA received tens of billions of dollars in 2024. I want to spend tens of billions of less dollars in 2025. My message to Congress is don't even send us all of those tens of billions of extra dollars. I internally want to make sure that we're finding efficiencies as it relates to our travel, our real estate footprint, grants, contracts, and we're also going to be saving money with regards to staff. We had hundreds of people take President Trump's fork in the road, voluntary early retirement. There were some probationary employees who were terminated as well. Others resigned, retired. We're going to continue pursuing those efficiencies.
Lee Zeldin, thank you so much for joining us.